And you're on.
Good morning. Happy Thursday, everyone. I'm here with one of my besties, Amy Devine. Hello.
Hello,
Welcome
everyone.
to the show.
Thank you.
She's amazing. She's worked for hospice for a very long time. She even has her own book. We'll talk about it all. Welcome to the show. I'm so excited
Thank
that
you.
you're here.
I'm so happy to be here.
This is exciting. So we'll learn a little bit about River Valley Hospice today and a little bit about how you got started and about your book. And I mean, this is just going to be a great show.
Yes, it is.
Yes. And she's one of my besties, if I didn't say that already. All right, so let's start there. Let's start with a little bit about yourself and what got you into hospice.
Well, I've lived in the area for about 40 years, and I previously worked in child welfare, and I just kind of needed to change, so I took a leap of faith to hospice about 13 years ago.
It's a long time.
Yeah, and I've really enjoyed it. I've learned a lot, and it's really become a passion of mine.
Yeah,
So,
more of a lifestyle. I mean, it's something that you talk about often.
yes, I do.
Yes, something that you really love, which is good. You have to like what you do.
Yep, I agree.
So this also brings you really into a lot of people's homes and spaces and
Yeah, I work for River Valley Home Health and Hospice. We do both home health and hospice. And hospice can be done anywhere that you live, whether that's in your home, in an assisted living facility, a group home, just anywhere that you would call home is where we can do hospice care.
well, sometimes you feel like that's the end of the road, but that's not necessarily true now, right?
Well, in order to be on hospice, you do have to have a life-limiting diagnosis, and it's typically 6 months or less in order to qualify for hospice. That doesn't necessarily mean that, on the last day of the 6th month, you're going to be gone.
Right.
Everyone's disease progresses differently. So there are people that live a lot longer than 6 months on hospice. And typically what I hear from our patients that come on is that they wish they would have come on hospice sooner. A lot of people come on in the last days, and it's very chaotic for the family and very hard on the patient. It's better if you come on sooner. We help you, deal with your disease progression, and we help educate you, and we walk beside you along the way. So
Is that something that a doctor usually sets up for you, or that's something that you have to kind of step out of your own box and reach out to you
typically,
guys?
you make that decision when a doctor's told you there's nothing really more they can do for you that other than manage your symptoms. And your doctor normally will do a referral for hospice. You do have a choice in what hospice you choose. So it's good to be educated on what providers you have in your area.
Yeah, definitely want to ask questions.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, that's a lot. Jeff, do you have the River Valley brochure, one of the pictures that we have?
I think so.
Let's check that out.
Okay. You got it.
Yeah, that's just our general brochure that we have, and we have that available at our Bullitt City office, 2649 Highway 95. The phone number to River Valley Home Health and Hospice is 928-704-1302. So if you have any questions, please call us for any needs.
Yeah. So let's talk about a team. So on your team over there, what does that kind of look like? Is it nurses? Is it?
Yeah. The beautiful thing about hospice is that you get a team of professionals to work with you and walk beside you. A lot of people, when they think of hospice, they think it's only nursing care, and the nurses are amazing and phenomenal and a huge part of what hospice provides. But it's also, you also get home health aides who are CNAs who can assist with hygiene, and that is a godsend to so many people.
Especially the family members, I assume, too.
And a lot of times, for example, if you had, let's say your dad, you might not feel comfortable giving your dad a bath.
Yeah.
Yeah. And a lot of people don't. So we have those services available. We have a chaplain available. So for any spiritual needs, they're non-denominational and they meet you where you are. We have social work available to connect you with resources. We have volunteers, and that's a huge thing. I think we had a volunteer brochure as well.
You got
if
that
you wanna
next
show
picture,
that
Jeff?
That would be, I think, this one. Am I right?
I think so. No,
No, I'm not right.
no.
Dang it. It's this one. Then I know it's this one.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yes.
so volunteers are huge.
So what do you, if I want to volunteer, how do I get a hold of you guys
You
to do that?
just call our office, 928-704-1302.
And that really kind of means time and just,
It can mean tons of different things. You don't have to even do patient care to volunteer. We have volunteers that make blankets for our
Oh.
patients. We have volunteers that work in the office and do filing, and I have packets that I give people, and they'll make the packets up. We also have
Gotcha.
volunteers that come sit with patients while their caregivers run errands or just have a break. Having
Yeah.
those breaks, it's just so important for these caregivers. And you
Yeah.
can play cards, you can, tell stories. I mean,
it can
some of
really
these,
be your own little social
it
hour
really
if you want
can.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, and some of these people, they have so many stories, like really interesting lives, and it's really a blessing to be able to spend time with them. And also, a lot of people live alone, especially in this area. And just having that volunteer come in gives them a little bit of socialization and
Yeah.
someone to chit chat with and that type of thing.
Someone to spend their time with.
We have a question
Oh, we do?
from Stephanie Martinez. She wants to know, how old do you have to be to volunteer?
To volunteer, I think they even take teenage volunteers.
Nice.
So I believe you have to be a teenager, at least like 16 and up.
Okay.
That's good. That's
Perfect.
good to know.
Yeah.
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 Good question.
That's a great question.
Yeah.
Then that kind of leads us into the bridge program.
Well, I think we were going to talk about home health.
Oh, yeah. Let's do it.
So we also provide home health care services, and for home health, you need to have a skilled need, like maybe you had your hip replaced, or you need help. You have a new diagnosis. You need help with medication management, that type of thing. It's time limited, so you're not going to get a lot of services, and it has to be ordered by your physician. So
I assume more knowledge comes with that too. If you have questions or need help filling out paperwork and things like that.
it's more. Well, I was on home health at one point, if you remember.
Yeah.
When I had my illness, and I was only on because I got IV antibiotics.
Okay. So that's kind of where that came
Yeah,
in.
that was the skilled need.
Gotcha.
And then once that is done and I'm done with that service, then hopefully you get better and you go off of home health. you know?
Yes. The goal is not to stay
Yeah.
on these programs.
So that's a little bit about home health. You can also get a social worker with home health if you need help with resources, or there's a lot of people that need help with caregiving,
Yeah.
placement. Again, the people that live alone, coming up with a plan for their care. So that's a little bit about home health.
That's good. That's good.
Well, you got to volunteer. Stephanie's going to have her daughter. She's going to
Yay.
call for her daughter. She's 16.
Okay,
Nice.
There you go.
nice.
Never hurts to get the kids around the older
No.
people too. It's nice to hear their stories and for them
Yes.
to see a different point of view of life. I'm sure
Absolutely.
we can all benefit from
Yes, I agree.
that. The bridge program, then.
The Bridge program is kind of my baby, but
No.
so the Bridge program is a program we developed for people who kind of fall through the cracks. So they don't qualify for home health, they don't qualify for hospice. They're kind of the people that you run into that you're a little worried about,
Yeah.
and they don't really get any services.
So this is your space that you're able to kind
Yeah.
of
And
find
so,
a program for
Yep.
them.
And we help them. The program's free of charge. You do have to have a chronic illness that's life limiting, but not to the point where you need hospice. And actually, some people do need hospice that are on Bridge, but they're just not ready for hospice, and that's okay. It's their choice. But we help connect them with placement, caregivers, Meals on Wheels,
Oh, yeah.
just all those types of things. Arizona Long-Term Care Program, and just also caregiver support. I have a lot of people that I call, and the caregiver just vents or
Yeah.
talks to me. Maybe you're taking care of a loved one with dementia, which can be very trying, and they just need someone to talk to or say, "Is this normal?" or
Yeah.
or how should I react when they do this?
What do I
So,
do now?
yeah.
I'm sure is just
Yeah. Yeah.
overwhelming.
Yeah, it is.
So you guys kind of give them the space to have someone to lean on.
Yeah.
Know that they're normal,
Yeah.
that these things happen.
Right. And say, hey, there's a support group right down the road, that you can go and people have been through this. So you don't have to
Yeah.
do it alone.
Yeah.
So.
Which sometimes you just need that place to call to know for someone to say,
Yeah.
hey, here's
Yeah.
here's someone else who's going through what you're going through.
And a lot of times caregivers just need someone to tell them that it's okay for them to take care of themselves.
Yeah.
And how
Yeah.
important that is, that they do go out to lunch with their friends or, go to a movie or, and
Just
do
need the
those things.
reminder. So much goes into these spaces of life that you
Yeah.
kind of, if you're not living in it, you don't really think about it. But I can imagine if I was in the position of needing any of these services, how important it would be to have somebody to call.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Serious. Oh my gosh. So
But it's not a bad thing. Like
Yeah.
I want to really take the fear out of this for people because, the fact of the matter is we all get older.
Yeah.
We all age.
we try to slow that down.
Christy.
A little Botox or something.
We try, but and if the more we can normalize having these conversations, the better. I think in our generation and the older generations, people didn't really talk about this kind of thing.
Yeah,
And,
for sure.
I really want to normalize it where we can have these discussions, and it makes it so much easier on our families and our loved ones when we have these discussions and these plans
Sure.
in place.
That makes sense. I mean, growing up, you didn't really talk about what after, the death plan, really.
No, you didn't.
And you're kind of, your book, I mean, really leading into your book, it kind of takes you into that, even at our ages, we should have a plan. You never
Yes.
know. We know.
Yes.
We know life now even
Yes.
more so that you just never look. I got goosebumps.
Oh.
That you just never know.
Yeah.
So having a life
Yep.
plan is super important.
Yeah, it always seems like it's too early until it's too late.
Yeah,
Yep.
So you want to have
right.
these things
Yeah.
in order.
you're right. When it's too
Yeah.
late, you're just like, oh, I don't know.
Yeah, I
Why didn't we
should've-
have the discussion? Why didn't we have the plan?
That's right. It's very important to have these discussions.
That leads
yeah.
us into this amazing book.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about what really got you to wanting, obviously, to kind of get this together. And then, I mean, I figured we could kind of walk through it a little bit because
Yeah.
this is my personal book that I got because thank goodness for Amy Devine saying, like, hey, Christy, it's time to get, come up with a plan.
Yep. So what made me write the book was I had a situation where I was incapacitated, and also working in hospice. I work with a lot of people that don't have these things in order.
It's nice and front face for you.
I've seen how trying it is on the families when these things aren't done, and I've experienced it.
Yeah.
So I thought, why not do, a little workbook where people can get their affairs in order and just
Yeah.
give your family that gift of compassion, if something were to happen to you. So, like I said, I did have my own incapacitation, and it was a funny story. Not funny at the time, but funny now. My husband and we didn't share a bank account at the time. It was a second marriage. He had his account, I had my
You're
account.
like, listen, you keep your own stuff, I'll keep
That's
my stuff.
right. So he just would give me whatever money for the bills, and I would pay the bills through my account.
Didn't even think about it.
Didn't even think about it. And then we also had a savings account, which was connected to my account. Well, I never put his name on the account. I
shoot.
never
Didn't
thought
think
about
it. Yeah. You're
Yeah.
young.
Yeah, that's
Especially
right.
then.
Yeah, I was younger then, but
Now we've aged a tad
yes.
bit.
But so when I became incapacitated, he had no way to pay the bills or access the money.
Oh, yeah. Out of
So,
luck.
Yeah, and so I think to myself now, what if I wouldn't have made it?
Yeah.
He would have had to jump through so many
So
hoops
yeah.
and barriers to get access to that account. And it really made me think, wow, I really need to get my stuff together.
Yeah.
And I know these things. Like, there's no excuse for me not doing that. So,
But again, you just think there's more time. You don't really think about it. I mean,
You
everything's
do.
fine.
and I see this a lot with patients and clients where one person is more of the decision maker in the
Yeah.
family, and the other one maybe manages the household, especially with the older generations. So maybe the husband has always been the one that handled the financial side of things, and the wife handled the home.
Yeah.
You see that a lot. And when that husband passes away, the wife doesn't know what to do
Doesn't even know where to
or
start.
where to start.
It's probably been years at that point.
Yes.
Oh,
And it's vice versa. Because in some situations, the female handles it and the husband doesn't. So
Yeah.
that's another thing that made me want to put this together as well. So basically, what it is a place where you can log all your information. So you can, let me back up a little bit. First of all, if you want to do, this has nothing to do with your stuff as far as money, that type of thing.
right. It's more informational.
It's more informational. It's a place where you can write down accounts and where to find things.
Yeah.
If you want to, and I do promote preparing yourself financially, and you can do that through, and it does cover it in general in here, but setting up a trust, having your financial power of attorney done, putting payable on death on accounts, and beneficiary deeds. There's lots of things you can do. I would suggest talking to your attorney. You can go to a paralegal.
Yeah.
In fact, if you get an estate plan through Tri-State Paralegal here in town, you get one of these for free.
Aha.
So,
That's very nice.
yeah, and that's a wonderful gift that she's giving to the community.
Yeah. That's
So once
cool.
you have that in order, because you want to avoid probate and
Right.
things like that,
Yeah.
and you want your kids to be able to access your money,
Definitely.
once you have that in order, this is a good thing that goes along with it. So where do we find those life insurance policies?
Yeah.
That's where you put that in here. How do we turn off, what's the account number for the electric bill so we can call and turn that off? What's,
Right.
All those different types
So
of
they're not
things.
having to look through all of my ruckus.
Yes.
It's all
Yeah,
here.
because even when, if I were to pass away before my husband, he would have no idea where to find
Yeah.
most of this stuff. I mean, I have a filing cabinet, and he would have to go through
Dig through it.
years of stuff that's in there.
Well, and it even gives you emergency contacts, immediate family members,
Yeah.
legal stuff, so you would know what lawyer to call or who
That's
did,
right.
where to find that information. Medical
Yep.
providers, current medication list, medical history, income resources, insurance information. I know that a lot of times, you have life insurance, you have this and and things that you forget until you've actually
Yeah.
written it down,
Yeah.
of
You
what you
don't
may
even-
have through work and outside of work and, prior, pre-employment
That's
things
right.
that you have. So your family wouldn't know that unless you had it written out, or
That's
it
right.
might find it, but it's a whole
Yeah.
digging through situations.
And a lot of times you don't even remember until you're prompted, oh, you know what? I do have that long-term care insurance that
Yeah.
or I signed up for Aflac or something, and I was in an accident, and I have accident insurance. My kids could make a claim on that,
Yeah.
if they have the information.
Mm-hmm.
You really, my kids wouldn't know.
No. Well,
what
and
I
even it
have.
goes into, bank account information, debit card, investment accounts,
Yep.
things that you may never even talk to your children about,
That's right.
but at least this would give them the
And
information.
if you're paying bills, let's say, like we recently had a close family member pass away, and you still have to pay their bills and, complete those things. And because we had the password to her online bank account, we could do that very easily, automatically, instead of having.
But if you didn't,
If we didn't, we would have had to wait, close down the account. It just would have been more of a mess. If,
yeah.
I
I even like this just in your own, mental space as you kind of go through it and just kind of, fill in the blanks, basically. It kind of gives you your own personal timeline, too.
That's
And
right.
things that you want to make sure if, something happened that everyone knows.
And my big thing too is, I have young adult children. If something happened to my husband and I want to make the process as easy as possible
Yeah.
on them,
Yeah.
because I've been through it where it's not easy.
Goosebumps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you can't grieve because you're so busy tasking.
Handling business, trying not
you
to miss
know.
anything.
Yeah, and it's so overwhelming, and especially for young adults to have to manage that, it just would be so hard because a lot of time they don't know any of this type of thing.
No, I mean, it goes into retirement accounts, vehicles, safe deposit boxes,
Yeah.
safe places that you may have in the home,
Yeah.
other treasured possessions. I mean, really, again, it's not something that you would really do with a lawyer. It's more about
No.
information that
This is
for
information, yeah.
yourself, for your family. I mean,
I mean,
if
even-
if it was something that you passed away and your husband had to deal with that, he
Yeah.
would. I mean, it's almost a gift.
And when we had a loved one pass away, I used this. She didn't have this filled out. But
but
as
you were
I
able to
found
go-
things, I would write them. So I just had it at a glance when I had to call somebody, or, I had it all at a glance, and it just
Yeah.
made it so easier.
Yeah.
And then also with the social media accounts,
Oh, yes.
I can't stress how huge this is. I've had so many people pass away, and I mean, who prints pictures anymore?
You don't.
So where are all the pictures? They're on mom's social media.
Yeah.
Well, if you don't have that password and login to mom's social media, you can lose
it
those
all.
pictures.
Ah,
Unless you download them to a hard drive, which you
right.
can do.
Which we don't, because
But-
you're never prepared for
Yes,
things.
right? Who actually does
Who
that?
actually does that? Especially the ones you don't really like of yourself. But,
so-
your kids might want them.
Like something as simple as that can
Yeah.
mean so much to someone.
Well, and definitely something that you wouldn't think about.
no.
But, we know that that's a piece of our loved ones for sure, without a doubt. I mean, you see it all the time.
And a lot of people like to keep those pages open for a while to see what
Yeah.
other people are posting and things like that. So I don't know. It's just a great little guide. You can get it on Amazon.
Well, and it kind of gives you like final thoughts. I mean, I think for me, I kind of look at this and you're just like, yeah, like I'm thankful to have these questions put in front of me so that I can answer them,
Yeah. And there's also,
And
a
you al-
checklist of what things to do after
after
you're
you're gone.
Like
Yeah.
things to handle in order to do things.
Yeah. And these are kind of like check the box. So it's something that even if you're not prepared to fully want to deal with, it's
Right.
a nice, quick deal with.
Yes.
And you feel like, okay, I've at least done something.
Yeah. And
The social media, man, that hits home. Like that's a big deal.
yeah.
And you wouldn't share passwords normally, or you wouldn't even think about it.
No.
But
But you do want to keep this in a safe place if you're putting passwords and things in it.
yeah, wow.
but
Yeah,
Yeah.
because then they have access to your diary.
Right?
Oh yeah, so you don't want everyone.
Or they
to have
could go on
access to it.
posting stuff about you.
Yeah.
That would be awesome.
But what kind of goes along with this, which is very important, and I encourage everyone, is to do your advanced care planning. So your medical power of attorney, living will, there's a mental health power of attorney.
I mean, I guess sometimes you just think, oh yeah, my husband would have the say or my daughter would have the say, but I assume having that paperwork
Right.
is nice and clear, and there's no questions.
Yes,
And
and it's not just who has the say. Maybe your husband isn't the one that should have the say.
Yeah.
Maybe you would rather have your adult child, because maybe your adult child is more apt to follow through with your wishes than your husband would be, or whoever.
Yeah.
Different circumstances.
it gives you the say so
It gives you the
when
say
you
so.
don't, when you can't.
Yeah, and you do it in advance, so they already know what you want. So it's not them making the decision.
Yeah,
it's
you get to
them
make it.
following your wishes.
No.
So it makes things a little different. So if you think about people who have several children, even like your parents, for instance,
Yeah.
I'm
There's a
sure
whole bunch of
I'm
us.
sure all you siblings agree on everything all the time.
Never.
But some people don't.
Well, and some of us have different religious beliefs. So
That's right.
in that, in that aspect, it's
Yes.
very important that the
Yeah.
right person is making the right
Yes.
choices for
And
their own
also-
personal beliefs.
Very important that paperwork's done, because let's say your mother is incapacitated, or she's getting towards the end of her life and they've offered a feeding tube, and you're like, no, I don't want that. Well, maybe your sister's like, well, you're killing mom if you don't put that feeding
Right.
tube in.
Well, and you
So-
can't really prepare for that.
No.
Even though you think that you may be, unless it's in
Yeah.
writing of their
That's right.
choices.
So
Ugh.
so you can look at that document and say, mom said right here she did not want a feeding tube,
Yeah.
and I'm honoring her wishes. I'm not making the decision. She made
it.
the decision. You know, so
Yeah.
it makes
Which
it,
almost, I mean, is a gift in itself to take that situation out of their hands.
That's
so
right.
neither one of them are making that decision. It's really
Yes.
based on what your wishes are.
That's right.
Ooh.
Yeah, and even, I mean, you can get one at 18, which I do think you should do if you have young adult children. Accidents happen, things happen, and if you can't get into that hospital because you're not their medical power of attorney, I mean, can you imagine?
No. Yeah, they're
So-
18. So,
Yeah.
oh man, I
So-
got a lot of work to do.
Yeah, you do.
Don't we all?
We have one more form that I want to bring up that you
Uh-huh.
gave me before we get too carried away here. There we go.
Oh, yeah,
Wanna talk
okay.
about that?
So that has to do with the advanced directives. And there's no barrier to doing this. You can simply log on to, what is it, azag.gov, and it's the Arizona Attorney General's office.
Okay.
You can print these for free.
Okay.
And you just need a witness that's not like your agent, it tells you. It doesn't even have to be notarized. But you can print these forms, you can have them done, and they have a registry, and that was the form that was up there, where you could even file them with the registry.
Oh, wow.
So there's really no barrier to doing this. It's free of charge. That's why I just say, you know, get it done. Of course, if you're doing it with a young adult, their decisions over time are going to probably change.
So you want to keep
know,
light of that and make
so
sure you're
at some
every
point-
2 or 3 years you're
Yeah.
revisiting them.
I mean, or if your health changes, you might want to revisit it. I mean,
Yeah.
if I was 18, I probably wouldn't need to redo these until I was like 40. Unless I got a health condition that made me want to redo them or something like that. But yeah, especially that medical power of attorney is so important to have.
Yeah.
And the living will is more of where you say what your end of life wishes would be. So, do you want to have CPR? Do you want to be on a feeding tube? You know, those types
Yeah.
of things. So,
Again, hard things to
Yeah.
deal with, but definitely things that need to be addressed
yeah, and they're
while
hard,
you can address them.
they are hard to deal with, but they're harder to deal with when they're not dealt with.
Yeah. Well, and
So,
really putting that strain on your family, no one really wants to
yes.
do.
Yeah, yeah,
Takes a lot of stress off of it. Yeah.
yeah, it's a gift of compassion.
A
to-
gift of compassion. Yeah.
Word of the day: compassion.
Yes,
Compassion.
that's right.
Oh,
That's what
well,
it's all
dealing with
about.
hospice and being in that
Yeah.
space, I am sure it's daily.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what it's all about. And you know
Love
what?
it.
Hospice doesn't have to be a sad thing. I mean, I've seen it be a beautiful process
Yeah.
and very touching. Hospice can be amazing for people. You know, if you have someone who's in terrible pain and now their pain's under control and they can go on vacation with their family, I mean,
Yeah, you kind of
That's what
picture
it's
like
about.
bedridden, but
Yeah.
the truth is it kind of just gets you through those steps and
Yeah.
gives you a little more help, more
it
people
makes
to
you
contact.
comfortable
Yeah.
and we really promote that quality of life. You know, we want you to go travel, go on the vacation, go
Yeah.
see your grandkids, you know, go visit your daughter, have them come. You know, those
Yeah.
are things. Do what you can while you can. So, and we'll help you be comfortable doing that.
Yeah, give you the tools, which sometimes we, struggle with in life.
Absolutely.
True.
Oh,
Yep.
Puts
Amy
more-
Devine. This is a lot of information, a lot
It
of
is
great
a lot of
information, and it's nice to have, contact and the information to be able to, buy the book. How do they find the book?
It's on Amazon. They can just search "Prepared: My Story of Incapacitation,"
Yeah.
and it'll pop up there. There's a bunch of other ones too. So if you don't like this one, pick whichever one works for you.
Yeah, just do it.
Yeah. Yep.
Yes.
So.
Well, thank you for coming today.
Yes.
I've
thank
had
you
a
for
great
having me.
time. I'm so glad. I've been wanting to get you out here. I've kind of been like, okay, when are you coming?
I
When are you
know.
coming? So thank you for coming. You
She
did
had to
great.
bribe me.
Yes, lunch for sure. Thank you, and thank you for the information. I mean, at the end of the day, it is hard to talk about these things sometimes, but your book makes it very easy to kind of, if it's something you don't truly want to talk to everyone about, it allows you to kind of just give the information. And then we got some information of other ways that we can do that, which is wonderful.
Yeah. And if anyone ever has any questions regarding any of this, please call me. I am open to the community to answer questions and just steer you in the right direction. I don't have all the answers, but I would be happy to take your calls.
Well, the nice thing
Awesome.
is you may not have the answers, but you can definitely help us know where to start. And
She'll
where to
find
go.
the answers.
Yes.
She can find them.
Yep.
Yes. Thank you guys. Have a good day. Happy
right.
Thursday, and we will see you next week on Tuesday.
Thank you, Amy.
Shop
Thank
local,
you.
support local. Eh.
Oh.